Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
You are listening to the TrekRanks podcast, a member of the Tricorder Transmissions Podcast Network. This is episode 32, featuring the top 5 Holodeck episodes. Welcome, Star Trek fans. I am Jim Moorhouse, and I am the host of the TrekRanks podcast. And tonight, we have another fun one for you as we continue our Pride Month celebration with an episode it's been on our long list. I say that a few times, but this one's been on our long list right from day one of the TrekRanks podcast.
Computer Arch.
Tonight, we are activating our favorite program, and we're discussing our top 5 holodeck episodes. And we thought that would be a great topic to do for Pride Month, because in a holodeck, you can be anything you want to be. We think that's a pretty great message for Pride. And joining us tonight for this awesome topic are 2 fellow podcasters right here from the Tricorder Transmissions Podcast Network. They are the hosts of Reading Trek, where they get in-depth and into the nitty-gritty on the awesome world of Star Trek literature. They are Will Conlin and Marty, Allee. Marty, Will, are you guys there?
You can call me Captain Proton for the next hour.
Oh, a teaser. A teaser. I like it. Oh, this is great. It's so awesome to have you guys both on. That was Will, by the way. And this is Marty.
Hi. Pleasure to be here. I'm so excited.
Yeah, really excited.
Yeah, I've been fired up to get you guys on. We love any Reading Trek updates for you guys. I know you just dropped the James Swallow episode, right? I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and I had a great conversation with the author himself. It was really great to chat with him and talk about his inspirations and where he's potentially going in the future with more Star Trek novels.
That is awesome. That's going to be... I'm still too behind on the Discovery books, but I'm going to catch up.
Great trilogy.
Yeah, this most recent one was probably one of the best ones. I think it's our longest episode we've done just because there was so much to talk about.
Oh, well, I will be listening when I catch up. Well, actually, how ahead of the spoilers on that one?
Not too bad.
Okay.
Spoiler-ish.
Maybe that'll be more of a preview one. I think I'll listen. All right. And since this is the first time we have these guys on, we'd like to get our quick Trek origin story from our first-time guest. So it's we were just talking about this. It's now like a mini Trek Profiles, another great show here on the Tricorder Transmissions, which is hosted by our friend John Krikorian. So, Will, let's start with you. How did you get into Trek?
Very quickly. Well, I was born the same year that TNG came on the air, so I had a lot of Trek growing up, and I was able to see these first runs. And I think one of my earliest television memories is my entire family collectively freaking out at the end of Best of Both Worlds Part 1. So it was just something that was kind of always there. My brother used to tease me if I left the TV for a few minutes. He'd come back and tell me that they cut off Spock's ears, and I'd scream, "No!" So yeah, it was kind of all that. And then I went to Star Trek The Experience in Vegas, and actually getting to be like on the bridge, just kind of blew me away, and I've been a huge fan ever since.
Oh, Star Trek The Experience. Be still my heart.
Miss it every day.
I miss that place.
How would they cut off Spock's ears in TNG? I'm just curious.
Oh, no. I would watch TNG and TOS. So.
Oh, okay.
All right, which leads me to my question before we get to Marty, and I always ask this, but I ask it because I don't really care, and I don't check with guests beforehand, but are you a completist? Have you seen all of Trek or not?
I think I am at this point, I think I'm up to about 98%.
Okay.
I've only been to 2 STLVs, but I kind of set myself out to get to completist level. After first STLV, which was 2 years ago, I watched Enterprise from beginning to end, which I had a few missing there. And then last time I watched I watched Deep Space Nine, and I had a few missing from that as well. So at this point, I think I'm down to maybe like 5 episodes of the animated series, maybe a couple episodes of Voyager that I missed first run, and that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, we always ask because you don't need to be a completist to be a Star Trek fan. In fact, I am quite jealous of people who are not completists because it means they have Star Trek still to discover out there.
Oh, it's the best feeling when you see something you hadn't seen before and you go, wow, that's suddenly a new favorite.
That's awesome. All right, Marty, how about you? How did you get your Trek life started?
Well, growing up in a house with three brothers who were all Star Wars fans, I didn't get a lot of Star Trek growing up, but I did fall in love with it when the 2009 Kelvin universe got booted up.
Oh, right.
From that movie, I then went back and watched all of the series, TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, and then looped back around to the original series.
Oh, that's great. So you've seen it all now. And so you're a relatively recent fan. I love when I hear people got into it from the Kelvin time.
Within the last 10 years, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's almost been 10 years since.
Can you believe that?
Yeah,
Star Trek 2009. Incredible. All right. Well, let's jump into our general order number one reset here at TrekRanks, which starts with the fact that we love Star Trek. And we use the ranks just to get the conversation started on some deep dive topics. So as the Vulcan Master likes to remind us each week, the main driver for all of our discussions here at the TrekRanks podcast is
infinite diversity.
In infinite combinations.
That's right. Our mantra here at TrekRanks is no wrong answers. And our show is all about all the reasons that we love Star Trek. We're not here to nitpick or to argue, but just to celebrate the greatness of Trek. And we love it all from TOS to TNG, straight through to Enterprise and the Kelvin timeline, and now Discovery, of course. It's all fair game here on the TrekRanks podcast.
Black alert. Black alert.
And a quick reminder that Discovery Season 1 spoilers are potentially in play, even though there weren't really any holodecks per se in the first season of Discovery. But there was that one awesome kind of Klingon battle simulation. So who knows? Maybe that'll fit into someone's Prime Directive. No wrong answers here on TrekRanks. And one more thing, just a reminder that we used episodes as a quick and easy shorthand. But the 13 films are always in play. It's just easier to refer to episodes as kind of a catch-all. Most of that you've probably heard before, but we like to reset every week for any newcomers jumping into TrekRanks for the first time. And on that note, a reminder that our entire back catalog is available for you to download and listen to at TrekRanks.com and at the tricordertransmissions.com. Because one of the beauties of our show is that each episode is pretty timeless. So you can listen in any order you want. And if you're familiar with Star Trek, then you'll find each topic fun and familiar as well, I think. So if you haven't gone back to listen to any old episodes, we highly encourage that you do that.
Hailing frequencies are open.
Thank you, Lieutenant Uhura. If you'd like to contact TrekRanks, the best way to do that is to find us on Twitter at TrekRanks and at Enterprise Extra. You can call us and leave us a message with your own picks at 609-512-LLAP. At 609-512-5527. And you can consider any voicemail message that you leave us an audition to be on the show, because we would love to hear you call in and leave us your picks. You can also find the Tricorder Transmissions on Facebook. And for those of you enjoying all of our shows here at the network, you can support us at patreon.com/the Tricorder Transmissions, where you can find a link at the tricordertransmissions.com. All right, so to wrap it up, Marty and Will would like to tell everybody how they can get a hold of you guys. Marty?
You can find me online at Time Travel Marty. You can also find our podcast at Reading Trek and readingtrek.thetricordertransmissions.com.
And you can find me on Twitter at William G. Conlin. And you can also find me in the unofficial Star Trek Las Vegas Facebook group, which is moderated and run by our Tricorder Transmission leaders, Heather and Jeff.
That Time Travel Marty is a pretty great handle. Gotta give you credit.
I love it.
I love it too.
I'm never getting rid of it.
Okay, I think we're ready to jump into our Prime Directive as we break down exactly how we made our picks tonight, entering the Holodeck.
Program complete. You may enter.
So Will and Marty, for today's show, we're jumping straight into our Prime Directive. So let's figure out how everybody narrowed down their selections. I think we don't need to do the diagnostic cycle because tonight's topic is pretty simple. We're just picking our top 5 holodeck episodes, and you can define a holodeck episode really any way you want to do it. So you can go big and broad with some of the obvious picks, or maybe you go more subtle with something like Unexpected from Enterprise, where Trip gets pregnant in a holodeck, an alien holodeck. I highly doubt anyone's going to pick Unexpected tonight, but who knows? We'll see. That's you can define this topic any way you want. So Marty, let's start with you. How did you narrow down your list, and was there anything tricky on your end in terms of how you maybe defined a holodeck episode?
Well, there's nothing really tricky about how I defined it. I looked at episodes that primarily took place on a holodeck or a holodeck-like space, and then used that to kind of drive the plot along. I did have a lot of trouble making my picks because there were a lot of great stories to choose from. But
well, that's the story of TrekRanks.
Yeah.
It's always hard. It's always hard. All right. How about you, Will? How did you narrow down and define your picks?
Well, yeah, I absolutely wanted it to be ones where the holodeck was a primary theme in the episode, but I also wanted to be ones where, what happens on the holodeck or involving holograms advanced the plot or the specifics of a character within a series.
Okay. Interesting. So I think from my end, this one is pretty simple for me. I mean, I only really considered some of the classic holodeck episodes. So like you guys said, if the holodeck was only used peripherally, then it wasn't really in contention for me, like something like Unexpected. And then from there, I went with my old TrekRanks staple, which is kind of defining how I choose my episodes. Is I always kind of come down to, if I can only choose one to watch for the rest of my life, which one am I picking? That's kind of how my brain works. So I basically just went with my favorites from that would be defined as generally holodeck episodes. So should be a great show tonight. So let's jump in with Third Remoticon and get the order of things.
I am a Jem'Hadar. He is a Vorta. It is the order of things.
And just a quick reminder on how we're going to go through the order of things. First, each of us will reveal our original TrekRanks 5 words and a hashtag summary to tease our pick. Then we'll reveal our episode and why we picked it. And at the end, we'll try and get a few secondary system selections for the picks that maybe just missed our list. And tonight, I have to think we might have some duplicates, since holodeck episodes are a pretty finite area of selection. And you will know when we have a duplicate when you hear this sound. Those are the Defiant Torpedoes, and we love them. Okay, Will, let's start with you. What's your number 5 pick for your top 5 holodeck episode?
All right. 5 words for it is the name's Bashir. Julian Bashir. Hashtag a lot of kick for a 45 Dom.
Oh, I love it. Our man Bashir.
I mean, this is not only a just a fun episode. This is like if I'm in a bad mood, I'm going to put this episode on. But I think it's a critical episode in Bashir's plot line because, I like to look a lot deeper into the stories and the characters. And the first time we meet Julian Bashir in the pilot, he says, this is the frontier. This is where heroes are made. And you see the development of his character, that he wants to be a hero. So I think this is a great episode that shows his development into a hero and how he gets to where he is by the end of the season, by the end of the series.
It really is. It comes right in the middle of the series too, and you just say it's so watchable and so rewatchable. It's like I could put this on a loop and just watch it forever and over and over. It's that good.
And for those who have seen, who have seen the posts that I do in the Star Trek group, they've seen my wall. They know that I have 2 like giant framed objects that are my tributes to Star Trek and James Bond right next to each other, covered in autographs of all the Bonds and all the captains and everything. So, I mean, this is like pure catnip for me to have a James Bond themed episode and to have it so specific that MGM actually came down on them because they did it.
Yeah, it's the perfect kind of, and hopefully you'll agree with this. It's like a send up of kind of that campy Bond era.
Oh yeah.
And it's massively campy, but it's also not campy because it's totally cool and the storyline is awesome. And Sisko's chewing the scenery as Hippocrates Noah. It's the best. It's amazing. What's your take on Our Man Bashir, Marty?
I like Kira's Russian accents. It's a fun episode. I like the James Bondness of it. I'm not personally a huge James Bond fan, so this episode didn't make my list, but it's a great episode nonetheless.
Anastasia Komadanov, or whatever Kira's name was.
And of course, Garrick, to have him and Garrick together, just the great buddy pairing of all Star Trek.
And by the way, that was like a huge episode for their friendship and it was deep because of the spy stuff, where Garrick was like literally like getting in his face, like, you're playing games here. This is a joke. We need to sacrifice these people. Get out of here. And Bashir wouldn't do it, and Garrick learned a couple of new tricks. Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, Our Man Bashir kicks us off. That is a classic holodeck episode where Julian Bashir can literally be whatever he wants to be. All right, Marty, what's your number 5 pick?
All right, my number 5 pick, my 5 words: Worf's family violates Prime Directive. Hashtag sign of the LaForge.
Oh, this is a great pick.
It's TNG Season 7, Episode 13, Homeward.
This was on my secondary system, so I love this deep cut pick.
It's like a precursor to Star Trek Insurrection in a way. They just kind of lift the culture up and have to cart them somewhere else. And they don't even know where they're taking them. But what hits me about this episode is the ending when, I forget his name, the character who wanders outside of the holodeck.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought it up. Or in the Baralan seeker or recorder or something. What do they call him?
The scriber or something like that.
Yeah, something like whatever he was like the record keeper. But yeah, his arc in this episode is amazing.
It's really good. And then the fact that he can't tell these people what he's seen, and he can't keep it a secret, but he also won't fit in with the Federation, and so he just has nowhere to go, and he ends his life. And it's so tragic, but it really hits me every time I watch it.
It really is powerful ending, and sad ending, and poignant. And it's why it was really close on my list, but I ended up not including it. Will, what's your take on Homeward?
This is actually one that I don't think I've seen since it originally aired. So I would have been 7 years old when it came out. So I might be putting this on tonight. I want to revisit this episode.
Oh, you are in for a treat.
It's a really good episode.
I mean, Paul Sorvino's in it. It's the Worf stuff is great. Cassidy Yates is in it. Okay, it's not Cassidy.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yates.
The way that I always do this is I'm right on Memory Alpha, so I love seeing that Penny's in there. So yeah, this is fantastic.
All right, well, what did they call that guy? I can't remember.
Paul Sorvino.
The guy was like, he's like a researcher or something. I can't remember. I'll think of it at some point.
Vital?
Yeah, not his actual name, but his job was like, it's driving me crazy. I'm going to cut all this out. Okay, let's move on to my number 5 pick. We're not cutting any of that out, by the way. So, all right, my number 5 pick, my 5 words in a hashtag: Data's deputies, Durango, and Deadwood. Hashtag, I'm beginning to see the appeal of this program. And it is a fistful of datas from season 6 of TNG. It's my number 23 ranked episode at TrekRanks. I love this episode. It's just so much fun for me. I love a good Western. But my main reason for picking this is because I love just the clever execution of this episode. The stakes are super high. They feel very real. And I said this before on TrekRanks when I chose this as one of my top 5 data episodes. But the performance from Brent Spiner playing all these different characters is just amazing. And when they cut to the moment in the jail cell where Eli Hollander is suddenly Data and he's saying, "What's the matter? Was my paw a little rough on you?" That was so creepy. So well done. Love that scene. Love Troy as the mysterious stranger Durango. And we also get some Spot and poetry about his cat. It's just super, super fun. Love this episode. What's your take, Marty?
I like this episode too. I wrote down hashtag handy with the shooting iron. The The only part of this episode that bothers me is how terrible a father that Worf is, but that's like Worf's arc throughout all of TNG.
Yes, that'll be another episode of TNG when we do top 5 parents, and nobody picks Worf. So, Will, how about you? What's your take on Fistful of Days?
I love this episode. This is actually on my secondary systems, and I'll explain later why it wasn't one of my top 5. But this is such a great episode, such a classic. It's one you can watch over and over again. And I actually remember about 4 years ago, I got to visit Deadwood, South Dakota, and I remember walking down the main street of it, and I just said out loud, and my entire family looked at me like I was insane. I'm beginning to see the appeal of this program, and they all just looked at me like, "What's the matter with you?"
That's spectacular. I love this episode. Definitely one of my all-time favorites. All right, let's move to round 4. Will, what's your number 4 pick?
All right, my 5 words are better in black and white. And hashtag is, listen to me very carefully because I'm only going to say this once, coffee black. It is Voyager, Bride of Chaotica.
Of course it is.
And I had to really think about this to know whether or not I wanted to do Bride of Chaotica or Night, but I think Bride of Chaotica showcases Captain Proton better, so I went ahead and went with that. I think it's just great, and I love that 50s feel, science fiction. That's just what I've always grown up on, and I think it was so cool when they were able to get all those classic tropes into a holodeck program, and it just, I mean, it's great, and again, it advances Tom Paris as a character, so I think it's got a great place in Voyager.
Oh, for sure. What classic tropes? Doesn't every show have not every show has a destructo beam?
Oh, well, I love Satan's robot on Game of Thrones.
Oh, Satan's robot. I'm a huge fan of Bride of Chaotica, huge fan of Buster Kincaid and Satan's robot, and all the fun that's going on in that episode. Marty, how about you? What's your take on Bride of Chaotica?
I love it when Janeway grabs the big microphone and just whips the cord onto the ground, like Indiana Jones style.
Yeah, the performances from Kate Mulgrew and the guy who played Chaotica with Martin Rayner, they're epic. They're just both just chewing the scenery. And
Picardo is the president of the world, the president of the Earth.
It's so great. And I got to say, one of my all-time favorite, it's literally one of my favorite Voyager moments ever. There's so many great one-liners, but there's this deadpan line from Tom Paris that actually I'm going to play for you right now.
Let me get this straight. Transdimensional aliens have mistaken your Captain Proton simulation for reality.
Yes, ma'am.
And now an armed conflict has broken out between these aliens and Chaotica's holographic army.
Yes, ma'am. His army of evil.
Genius delivery on that from Robbie Duncan McNeil. It is so funny.
And a personal connection that I have to the episode too is, as a Star Trek fan, the first Star Trek autographs that I ever got in my life, I was 12 years old at a Galaxy Ball, which was an event that Robert Beltran used to put on in LA to benefit a charity. It was when Voyager was in production. So the first 2 autographs that I ever got was a black and white of Captain Proton signed by Bobby McNeil and Garrett Wang.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's go on to Marty's round 4 pick. What do you got, Marty?
All right, round 4, Lions, Tigers, and Hirogen Nazis. Hashtag keep the war outside. Voyager Season 4, Episodes 18 and 19, The Killing Game.
I would just like to say that is a fantastic 5 words in a hashtag. Keep the war outside. I love The Killing Game. All right, why'd you pick The Killing Game?
It's just a great holodeck episode. I mean, the fact that the crew doesn't know who they are, so they're actually playing these characters in the holodeck. And I love at the end of the episode when the side of the holodeck gets blown out and you can just see like the 4 decks of Voyager through the holodeck. And then, of course, like when the Americans come in, they're just like, that must be a secret hideout, just being dumb Americans.
It was that special effects is incredible for that time, and it still stands up today. And the dumb Americans, Paris, get the lead out of your pants.
Yeah.
When he's yelling at the guy.
Keep it moving! Keep it moving! Get the lead out of your pants!
Yes, sir. You heard it. Let's move it.
Mid-20th century American slang.
You got a problem with that, sister?
You're enjoying this simulation. I find that peculiar given the circumstances.
Loosen up, baby doll. The war's almost over.
I don't know. It's just it's a fun story. And I love Voyager because they tell fun stories most of the time. And it's one of my favorite two-part episodes in the all of Star Trek. So
totally agree. The Killing Game is on my secondary systems. I love everything about it. And plus the Hirogen are badass.
They're bad. There's a moment where they're showing a guy who's in a hallway stuck between like a hollow wall and regular space, and it looks like his legs are cut off, like they would be in World War II.
Yeah,
I thought that was really clever. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. How about you, Will? What's your take on the Killing Game?
Killing Game is actually one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek, period.
Oh, wow.
It's on my secondary systems because of the rules that I set forth in doing this. I really took this serious.
We love that.
It doesn't advance the plot of the show, so it did not make my top 5. It's in my secondary systems because just as like a two-parter, as something you can watch over and over again, it's in my top 10 of all of Star Trek. So everything that Marty has said, I think some of the cleverness in design of the show, and we're talking 4th season. So I mean, 4th season, to come up with something as unique as this idea, I thought was absolutely brilliant. I love, Jerry Ryan's performance, singing the songs, and Mademoiselle Deneuve. I think that the whole thing is just, it's my favorite. I love it.
I was just about to say that to close it out, because you can't really describe it any better than that. The dynamic between Janeway and Seven of Nine, when she gets awoken in the episode and has to kind of dance her way through it. Absolutely amazing. Love.
Klingon Neelix.
And Klingon Neelix. All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's move on to my round 4 pick to close out round 4. My 5 words and a hashtag to manufacture triumph. Here. Hashtag DS9 innings of fun. And it is Take Me Out to the Holosuite from DS9 Season 7. It's number 87 for me over at TrekRanks. And I love this episode. Again, it's another one with just amazing execution. I love that there's no big stakes on this episode. It's just a baseball game, and Sisko's totally into it and wants to beat these jerky Vulcans and teach them a lesson, and then quickly realizes the folly of that, and then he's going to get crushed. What else? You got Rom and Sisko and Odo as the umpire. So many great gags. I love this episode. And I love the fact that it proves that the jerk Vulcans from Enterprise made sense, because these Vulcans are a bunch of jerks. So, Will, what's your take on Take Me Out to the Holosuite?
Well, I just want that baseball signed by all of them. Wouldn't that be the coolest thing on your desk ever?
That is a pretty great final shot of the episode with the baseball.
Yeah, I think it's just a fun episode. Again, it's not on my list because it didn't advance the plot. I took this too seriously, probably, but it's great. It's fun, and it's just I love that there's that little note to Captain Pike in there, the Christopher Pike Medal of Valor.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of little details in there, and that's the kind of stuff that I love as a fan, because when you're at that, when you're at season 7 of DS9, then you've got 30 plus years of Star Trek behind you. So the fact that they can keep referencing classic stuff that deep in, I love it.
Awesome. How about you, Marty?
This is a fun episode. I don't have any strong feelings for it on either side.
Even when Odo throws Sisko out of the game?
No, I turn it off every time Sisko throws Nog out of the game.
It breaks my heart.
It breaks my heart.
Yeah, it was Rom, not Nog, but
sorry.
But he learns his lesson. All right. Let's jump in on the soup round 3. Will, what's your number 3 pick?
Soup round. All right, so mine's a bit of a mix, because I'm going to talk about this episode, but I'm going to use a different reference for my hashtag. I'm going to say 5 words are the city by the bay, hashtag watch your back dicks and dump the broad.
Oh, I love it. That's perfect. Now I know what this episode is.
TNG, The Big Goodbye. And this was my debate on whether or not I was going to do Fistful of Datas or The Big Goodbye, because I think they're the two coolest TNG holodeck episodes. But at the end of the day, I like the way that it advanced Picard as a character, because this is so early on in TNG, so you learn a lot about Picard. I think you learn a lot about the holodeck itself in the episode, and you also just kind of learn a little bit about just everybody in that era of the Federation, that they use the holodeck to learn about Earth's history. When they're all saying, what is an automobile, and what is it like to be in San Francisco 350 years ago. So I think it's just really it's a great episode for the characters and to establish what the holodeck was.
Oh, I love that The Big Goodbye got on somebody's list. It's not on my list. It's on my secondary systems. It's literally where it all started. I mean, it's kind of the beginning of big time holodeck episodes. Marty, what's your take on it?
Hashtag Dixon kill. I love this episode because everybody is just so amazed by how the holodeck works. And you get Picard running out to the conference room to tell everybody about this new holodeck. And he's got that big lipstick smear streaked across his face, and Beverly has to get up and clean it off.
Excited Picard is pretty great.
Yeah.
So awesome. And that great scene where Data's got it's trying to move the lamp and it unplugs, and he's like shaking it, and then somebody plugs it in, Beverly, I think. And he's like, oh, I fixed it.
I think I also picked it too because if I had a choice of where I would want to go on a holodeck, 1930s San Francisco would definitely be on my list.
That's awesome. That sounds like a great destination.
Dixon Hill.
The program's installed and waiting.
Program desired location.
Earth, United States, San Francisco, California.
Time period.
1941. AD.
File or access code.
File Dixon Hill. Private detective.
Enter when ready.
Captain's personal log. I'm entering the ship's holodeck, where images of reality can be created by our computer. Highly useful in crew training. Highly enjoyable when used for games and recreation.
Great pick. Love these picks. Marty, what's your soup round pick?
My soup round pick. Holosuite plus PTSD equals profits. Hashtag I'm an engineer, not a philosopher. DS9 Season 7, Episode 10. It's only a paper moon.
Oh, my heart's breaking. That's a great pick.
Yeah, this is just one of those evergreen episodes that I don't think anybody could dislike. The ending is so heartbreaking for Nog. The fact that he feels, after injuring himself, feels so vulnerable that he doesn't want to go back to real life. I think it's something that's real. And that's why I like it so much, because it takes something that happens in real life and puts a science fiction spin on it.
Yeah, that's the truth. This is another episode that just totally works. I mean, let's just talk about Vic Fontaine. I mean, this character, when they introduced this character in the end of season 6 and then made him a big part of season 7, when all this other stuff is going on in Deep Space Nine, you're thinking, what? You're going to introduce a semi-sentient holodeck crooner from the 60s Vegas into the show right now? Guys, no, too much. It's never going to work. And it's a total home run. It works on every level. I love Vic Fontaine, and he's so great in this episode. It's amazing.
Yeah, and there's so many great lines in this episode. Like, you don't seem hollow to me. Life is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's the episode that keeps on giving.
Yeah. Will, what's your take on it?
Yeah, just absolutely. I agree 100% because it's so important for Vic Fontaine, who I think is an amazing character. Like you said, to come in so late in the series. I love the nod that they have to classic cinema with Nog watching Shane, which is one of the greatest Westerns of all time.
Oh, yes.
I mean, there's just so many great things about it. And it kind of goes to show that, a lot of TV shows really they can phone it in by season 7, and none of the Star Trek series did.
Yep. That is the truth. All right, awesome. Let's move on to my round 3 pick. We have our first duplicate, and 5 words in a hashtag. Undercover spy, Julian Bashir. Hashtag, I bet they didn't teach you that in the Obsidian order.
Yay.
As we just talked about in round 5, Will's pick to kick us off. I love Our Man Bashir. It's perfect on every level. We don't have to kind of rehash it too much, but I will say, yeah, the tone and the set design, the production, the names of the characters, Honey Bear, Mona Loves It, Falcon. It's just, it's fantastic. It's a Ronald D. Moore script, and I think it's what the holodeck is all about. Oh, and Rom and Eddington trying to save the day outside the holodeck. It's so much good stuff.
Yeah, the first time around, we didn't even mention, Colomini and his Falcon. Yes. That's so great.
So great. Well, you mentioned it in your hashtag.
That's true.
The shooting the Dom 45. All right. Any other quick comments on Our Man Bashir before we move on?
Well, I just remember reading in the production notes that it was actually the most arduous shoot of all of Deep Space Nine. They usually shot the episodes in like 6 or 7 days. I think that one took 10 days to film. So it really showed you what they put into it. It was really high quality.
That makes sense because it's extremely well done. All right. Let's move on to round 2. Will, what's your round 2 pick?
All right, so this is where I'm going to maybe get a little controversial because it's not really a holodeck episode, but it is certainly a hologram episode.
Okay.
So my 5 words, I'm going to sing them. Just aim for his behind. Hashtag activate the ECH. It is Voyager, Tinker, Tenor, Doctor, Spy.
This is a fascinating pick. Tuvok, you have just gone without for 7 years about. We're just going to sing the whole rest of the episode. I love this pick. This is
You'll regret that.
Definitely outside the box. So what's your thinking here?
Well, my thinking is one of the classic Trek themes is, a holodeck malfunction episode. So imagine that you have a holodeck malfunction episode happening in the Doctor's head. And that's kind of what that episode is. And I just love what that does for the Doctor. I think it's an important episode for the Doctor. And again, I think the Doctor is one of the great characters in all of Star Trek. He has this kind of malfunction going on. And then you've got this great, sub storyline of these aliens kind of watching in on his thoughts. And that speaks a lot to, voyeurism and what would it be like if people could see our dreams? They would think that we're pretty messed up or they would fear us. And I just think there's just a lot in that episode, and it has the greatest cold open in Star Trek history with that song.
It really does. It's amazing. I love this pick. I love the outside of the box thinking. I was wondering if we'd get anything like this. There's a couple others, somebody you could layer in in this kind of thinking, but I love it. It's an all-time great episode. I like the
potato aliens.
Potato aliens, sure.
The hierarchy.
The hierarchy. Thank you. Oh, brilliant. Marty, what's your take on it?
This episode's just ridiculous. I love it. I love ridiculous episodes. So it didn't make my holodeck list, but it's definitely up there in terms of my favorite episodes. I mean, potato aliens, you can't go wrong.
I love those guys. I did not think of this one at all. I love the clever thinking. And Marty, what's your number 2 pick?
All right, my number 2 pick. My 5 words, invaders from the 5th dimension. Hashtag intruders. Voyager season 5, episode 12. Bride of Chaotica.
We did get one, Marty. We got one.
Duplicate. Another duplicate. I love it.
I couldn't not pick this episode because it's so self-aware, and it's just the Voyager cast having a damn good time.
Oh, it's incredible.
Love it.
I didn't mention it before, but I love the robot, and he gets damaged, need repair, help, help, help.
What is a transistor?
Well, let's do this because we have have a triplicate. It's my
No
number 2
way!
pick as well.
Oh my god! Oh my
Pride
god!
of Chaotica. We have a Voyager sweep in round 2, and yeah, I mean, come on, this episode. It's hard to think anybody could keep this off of a top 5 holodeck list. My 5 words of the hashtag was shut down the lightning field hashtag and fire the destructo beam. This is my number 20 episode of TrekRanks, and it's one of Trek's all-time funniest episodes for sure.
So funny. It's so good.
It's just nonstop. And actually, I was checking this on TrekRanks.com where I have my 5 words and a hashtag for each episode. And I actually had as my 5 words, best Trek holodeck episode ever, hashtag quite possibly. Turns out it's number 2 on my list. I have 1 ahead of it now that we're doing this show. But yeah, the episode's amazing. The premise is unbelievable. You just buy it hook, line, and sinker. These trans-dimensional aliens have stumbled into the holodeck and think it's all real. And like you said, Marty, Satan's robot is just, Paris is reading the telegraph ticker.
Yeah.
And he's like, we must get out of here. Stop. The thing, and Chua just says, stop. Summarize what you're saying. Actually, let's play that line now too, because that was awesome.
These are your central readings?
Telegram. It's a message to Captain Proton from the President of Earth. Intercepted communications between Dr. Chaotica and Arachnia. Stop. Chaotica at war with aliens from 5th dimension. Stop. Must strike now to disable Death Ray.
Stop. Please summarize the message.
Yeah, this overall just amazing episode. I think. Any other final thoughts on it, Will?
Just the best. I mean, that's all I got at this point. I love it. I'll probably watch it again tonight too, just for fun.
It is genius. I'm excited that you might get to watch Homeward tonight. You should definitely do that. That one is a winner.
Mission accomplished.
Well, let's move to round 1 and find out what our number 1 holodeck episodes are. Will, what do you got?
Like I said, this one is going to probably be controversial. I'm going to get letters on this, but I had my rules and I wanted to follow my rules. And I think this is the one that actually the holodeck has the most relevance to in terms of advancing the plot. Oh. So 5 words are, here's to the next generation, hashtag TNG meets ENT.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, no,
these are the voyages.
He went there. Oh
no.
These are the voyages. It's the number 1 episode.
I said I wouldn't judge you, but I'm judging you a little.
I am loving this pick. So this was on my secondary systems. And it was basically going to be, I was going to end with it. It was going to be my special shout out right at the end, just to make a joke, because I figured no one is going to pick These Are the Voyages as their top 5 episode.
The best laid plans.
Oh, Will, you're killing it. I love this pick. By the way, it's not that bad an episode, people.
No, it isn't.
No, everybody. Not a good finale. We get it. Not a good finale, but it's not that bad of an episode. Will.
Yeah, you got to look at it on its own.
If Enterprise had had a season 5, and this was just the season 4 closer, it probably would have been in like a lot of people's top list.
That's true. Probably it certainly wouldn't be in the bottom list.
Yeah.
So Will, why did you pick this? I love this pick.
Well, I think it's like you said, it's a fantastic episode, and it always gets hung up on the fact that it's a finale. So everyone digs on it, and to an extent, it feels maybe like, not the finale that you would want, and so that people say that it's more a TNG episode, all those things. But I think it's incredibly poignant. I think to have that time jump and to see where the characters were after years, I love Shran. I love, I hate Trip's death, but I love the performance of it. I just think it's a great episode. And then to have it all wrapped around the fact that it's actually Riker using we all use Star Trek to help our lives. We use things that we learn in it to help our lives. We watch an episode if we're in a certain position and we feel something, we might watch an episode to see how the characters deal with that similar thing. So the thing that's brilliant about These Are the Voyages is you're seeing one of our beloved characters using the characters that we love too to help himself through a difficult situation. So if I will be a defender of These Are the Voyages until my dying day.
I'm speechless by that defense because that is the truth, man. We all use Star Trek just the way that Riker was using it in this episode. That is a brilliant observation that I've never thought of before, and I'm getting emotional. That's fantastic.
Come at me, Marty.
Marty, what's your take on this one?
I just have to say that I'm proud that you're my co-host on Reading Trek because this is an absolutely amazing pick, and your defense of this episode is 1,000% spot on. I have to give you some applause because that's bravo.
It's amazing. It's I can't wait for everybody to hear this, and you just did here on TrekRanks. That is one of my favorite picks ever. Will,
Thank you.
That is awesome. All right, Marty, what's your number one pick?
All right, my number one. 5 words, ugly alien just wants company. Hashtag double fake out. TNG season 4, episode 8, Future Imperfect.
He's not ugly, Marty. He's beautiful. He's beautiful.
He's got those big Joey green eyes and that gray skin.
This is another huge pick. I love it.
Well, not only is this like one of the best Riker episodes out there, it's an alternate reality episode, which I'm a huge sucker for. We get those alternates comm badges in this episode, and Riker just yelling at Picard,
"Shut up, Admiral!
Shut up!" As in, stop talking.
Close your mouth. Oh, so great.
And the double fake out. You think it's the Romulans, and then it's not the Romulans.
It's Barash. Oh, poor little Barash.
And I love the look on his face when he sees Minuet in the video too. Oh, that because you get that same realization. Oh, I love that. This was on my secondary.
I love that they tied it back to like a season 1 episode.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was great.
That also really shows you the depth of what the holodeck can do, because that left an emotional impression on Riker's brain that he fell in love with a holodeck character.
Mm-hmm.
That's another deep pick. I didn't think of this one. It's not on my secondary system just because it didn't pop into my head. I mean, it's a holodeck though. I mean, he's kind of faked a holodeck and then
it's not an Enterprise holodeck, but
the first fake out it's a Romulan.
Right.
Holodeck or something like a mind probe, and then the second part he's got kind of his own little things. Barash breaks my heart every time. I love that guy.
That child actor they got to play him was just so good.
He was really good. It's
a lot of episode.
Another fantastic pick. I love that both of these picks. Actually, it's funny you mentioned Minuet, because I thought during your 5 words and a hashtag, Will, that maybe you were going to pick 11001001, and because that would be a pretty good holodeck episode to pick if you were talking about character development and Riker and what that meant for him down the road. But both your picks have great connections to previous episodes. So let's jump to my number one pick. This is one of my all-time favorite episodes of Star Trek, and my 5 words and a hashtag: Seska will never give up. Hashtag Insurrection Alpha, and it is worst case scenario from season 3 of Voyager.
Yay, this is on my secondary.
And it's not exactly the kind of holodeck episode that people, I think of when they think of holodeck episodes.
Yeah.
But for me, it was my clear number one. Right away, I was like, that's a holodeck episode. I love that episode. I can watch it over and over. And like Future Imperfect, I love how it just keeps you guessing. It resurrects one of the best villains in Star Trek history, in my opinion, who is Seska, and not for the last time, by the way. They bring her back again. And
every time you think you're done with her, she keeps back.
I love her. And I think the structure is just, they use the holodeck perfectly. It's so much fun seeing Paris walking around in the yellow security outfit, and then he chooses one path and he ends up in the brig, and he's like, I'm bored. What are we doing here? It's for me, that episode is a masterpiece. I love Martha Hackett as Seska. And it's just one of my all-time. It's number 5 on my Voyager TrekRanks episode. So one of my all-time favorites. So, Will, what's your take on worst case scenario?
Yeah, I think it's great, and like you said, you keep getting Seska back, and I always reminds me of the DS9 episode with all the booby traps.
Yes, civil defense.
Civil defense,
Yes.
just that, things that can stay and wait long after you're gone and just come back and bite other people.
Yeah, it is like that. That's a good call. How about you, Marty? So this is on your secondary systems?
It was on my secondary systems. It's one of the ones that I have a lot of secondary systems because there's a lot of good holodeck episodes, but no, this is definitely up there on my list. It's just such a great, all the crew trying to play out the scenario and see where it goes. And then I'm like, what's the point of this episode? Where's it going? And then they go in to edit it. And that's when, the S hits the fan.
Yeah, it's when Tuvok goes and at first Tuvok's like, I'm not gonna do this, and then Paris and B'Elanna are trying to doing their own storylines, and he's just like, that is implausible, that would never happen. Okay, I'll write it.
What are we doing in the brig?
I have no idea. We haven't given the computer instructions to create a location yet.
Hello, Tuvok. I've been expecting you. If you can see me, you've obviously reopened the narrative parameters file of the tactical scenario you've been working on.
How do you know that? You're a hologram.
That's right. A holographic representation of Seska, one of the Maquis shipmates you betrayed. I would have thought all that time you spent spying on us might have given you a little more insight into the Maquis. But after looking over what you've already written, I can see you need a little help. So I've created this representation of myself to guide you through the rest of the program.
There is no more program.
There is now. I finished writing it for you, with a few revisions of my own.
Revisions?
To start with, the holodeck is now sealed. Your friends will find it very difficult to get you out of here. And the safety protocols are off, which means if I shoot you, and I am going to shoot you, you'll die. But not just yet. You've got 10 seconds to run.
I love it. Great episode. All right, let's run through some secondary systems. Will, what do you got that we haven't really talked about yet?
Well, it's funny because Marty and I talked last night. We did not reveal anything to each other, but I told him that I had whittled my secondaries down to 2, and then today, upon review, I got it back up to 7. So a lot of duplicates to what was talked about today: Future Imperfect, Killing Game, Fistful of Datas, Pathfinder. I have on there because I think Barclay is a really important character in holodeck episodes.
Love that pick.
Living Witness, which is a deeply emotional episode with the doctor, and you find out that it's 900 years later.
That's on my secondary systems.
And then I actually have the two movie references, because I don't think you could talk holodeck without talking about the brig Enterprise boat in Generations and the great Dixon Hill reference in First Contact. I love both of those sequences.
Those are 2 great holodeck shout outs for sure. How about you, Marty? Want to rattle off some? I
have Real Life from Voyager, where the Doctor creates his holographic family.
Oh my God!
Dies.
That was on my list of episodes I grew to love when we did TrekRanks episodes. I grew to love because I hated that the first time I saw it, and now I love it, and I can't get through it without bawling. Oh, all right, great pick. I didn't think of that one. I love it.
That almost made my top 5. It was like neck and neck with the Killing Game for a while there.
Fantastic.
I have Elementary Dear Data, which is just a classic episode. I have A Matter of Perspective, because I thought it was a really creative use of the holodeck to have a trial by holodeck.
Great pick.
I have Bada Bing, Bada Bang, which is basically Star Trek's Ocean 11.
Yep.
Pathfinder, Worst Case Scenario, and it might be a cheat, but I put Flesh and Blood on there as well.
Oh, that's a great one. I mean, it's kind of a holodeck. It's obviously a holo-enabled ship for the holograms to work. Love that. That's a top 10 episode at TrekRanks, I love that. That's a good shout out.
That's the one where the Doctor gets beamed into space, right?
No, that was in Basics.
He gets beamed onto a hologram ship.
It's Basics, right? Yeah. Basics. I just love that scene where the Doctor's out in space.
He ends up with a crew of... That's the one where they're fighting the Herodians, those holograms. I love that episode. All right, I'll rattle off a few more that I had homeward on my list. Man, you guys had some good picks. Of course, I had Elementary Dear Data and Ship in a Bottle. I highlighted Night. My toughest cut was Bada Bing, Bada Bang.
Yeah, that's a good episode.
Right on the edge for me. And no one's mentioned Hollow Pursuits yet. That is the OG holodeck episode with Barkley.
I thought about it, it was close, but I've also just never been a fan of it because, and I think it's probably a very egotistical reason because if there were a holodeck, I would be such a holo addict. I'd just be living on it.
Well, I didn't pick it because I didn't like the way the rest of the crew was treating Barclay in that episode.
All right, Lieutenant Broccoli. All right, two more. I had His Way, which is a really, really clever use of the holodeck where Kira and Odo get together for the first time in Deep Space.
Yes.
And then I was going to do my special shout out to These Are the Voyages, but since that's gone, because Will just made the epic all-time pick.
Will steamrolled you there.
Instead, I'm going to do my special shout out to Fairhaven and Spirit Folk. I like those episodes. I don't care what anybody says. I like them. And we're going to end it on that note. So let's jump into our regeneration cycle and wind this episode down.
Computer, activate regeneration cycle. Alcoves beta and gamma.
All right, so we're going to run through our quick recap of our picks, and then we'll run through a few statistics to highlight everything we went through. So, Will, rattle off your top 5 picks.
Top 5 is 5, Our Man Bashir, Deep Space Nine. 4, Voyager, Bride of Chaotica. 3, TNG, The Big Goodbye. 2, Voyager, Tinker Tenor, Dr. Spy. And 1, Enterprise. These are the Voyages.
That list is fantastic. You had 2 from Voyager, 1 TNG, 1 DS9, and 1 Enterprise. So you spread it around pretty well. I love it. Marty, what's your rattle off your top 5?
All right, my top 5. TNG's Homeward, Voyager's The Killing Game, DS9's It's Only a Paper Moon, Voyager's Bride of Chaotica, and TNG's Future Imperfect.
That's your number 1. So you had 2 TNG, 2 Voyagers, and 1 Deep Space Nine. That's fantastic. And all right, my top 5 from TNG, Fistful of Datas. My number 4 was Take Me Out to the Holosuite from Deep Space Nine. My number 3, Our Man Bashir, also from Deep Space Nine. And I close it out with 2 Voyager episodes, Bride of Chaotica at number 2, and Worst Case Scenario at number 1. So a couple of quick statistics. We had 1 2-part episode. We love 2-part episodes because you basically get bonus Trek. So,
yeah.
Marty has 6 hours on his list. We love that. We had 1 duplicate and we had a rare triplicate. Triple with Bride of Chaotica. We all had it. That is epic all-time episode. So the breakdown was we had nothing from TOS or the Kelvin timeline or Discovery. We had 1 Enterprise episode, which is we will not stop talking about on TrekRanks. That's amazing. 4 from TNG, 4 from Deep Space Nine, and Voyager leads the way with 6 picks, mainly because of Bride of Chaotica with 3. That's incredible. Awesome lists. And let's, I don't know, are you guys feeling a little deja vu? Or as Sheriff Worf would say, a feeling of Nipa. Because guess what? We've entered a temporal causality loop again. So before we can depart this show, it's time to hear from you.
The Enterprise has been caught up in a temporal causality loop, and I suspect that something similar may have happened to you.
This week, we're jumping back to episode 30 and our top 5 hottest characters, part 1, which kicked off our Pride Month celebration here on TrekRanks. And when I say that the feedback on our hottest characters was off the hook, I mean, I could barely keep track of it all. I cannot believe how many tweets I was getting, how many picks were coming in. So if you're looking forward to me maybe highlighting some of your picks tonight, the odds are very long because we got about 50 lists submitted, which is a lot to track. So I want to thank everybody for sending in their picks. So as you may know, part 1 of the top 5 hottest characters was dedicated to the dudes. And one of the first lists I want to highlight is...
How many people picked Barash?
Oh my God, I wish somebody had picked Barash.
Oh, and there were a ton of Morns on there, right?
Morn, I think there was a Morn mentioned by somebody. It was a joke, but there was no Barash. But all right. Instead of rattling off a bunch of one-offs, because again, we got picks from everywhere and for everyone, from Nog to Vic Fontaine to Barile, to DeMar, to Admiral Mark Jameson, the young version, Deep Cut Alert, to Harry Kim, Travis Mayweather, plus all the usual suspects. So instead of detailing these pick by pick by pick, I'm going to quickly go through the submissions from 2 of our favorite listeners out there, the soon-to-be husband and wife team of Foz Rotten and Brittany with about 5 B's. She is at Ms. B. Feur, MSBFEUR on Twitter, and they sent in 2 awesome lists with full 5 words and a hashtag summaries. So starting off with Brittany's list, she had Lieutenant Paul Stamets in Infinite Network of Lug, hashtag hook me up. Her number 4 was Commander Spock from the Kelvin timeline. He can compromise me emotionally, hashtag academics do it better. Her number 3 was Dr. Leonard McCoy, also from the Kelvin timeline. I'll even take your bones, hashtag play doctor. Bones was in quotes. Her number 2, Lieutenant Commander Worf. We love that from TNG and Deep Space Nine. This 5 words and a hashtag is making me blush. I don't mind it rough, hashtag yes sir. And her number 1, another classic, another Klingon, Lieutenant Ash Tyler from Discovery, a Klingon in the sheets, hashtag Dat Ash.
Wow.
Pretty, this list is amazing. All right, and then her fiance at Foz Rotten, who we've heard from before with his awesome submissions. His number 5 was Starfleet Cadet Wesley Crusher, Mama's Boy to Bad Boy, hashtag get you out of that sweater.
Oh my gosh, that's the best.
I love that. We had a few Wesley Crusher picks. Number 4 was Captain Okona from the Outrageous Okona in TNG. Pretty sure he was the only Okona pick. Fantastic pick. The sexiest scoundrel in space, hashtag not Han Solo. He had, at number 3, another Kelvin timeline pick, Lieutenant Sulu. Show me that swordplay, hashtag hand-to-hand combat. His number 2 was Charles Trip Tucker, who I had on my list. Chief Engineer of the Heart, hashtag ready to go down south. And his number 1 was Dr. Hugh Colbert. We love that. Do you make house calls? Hashtag yes, dear doctor.
I do declare.
So that's enough hotness to break us out of this week's temporal causality loop. So our plan is to save our recap on Trek's hot women for the next show. And guess what? Yep, we had even more submissions for the women. So I got a lot to go through on that one for our next show. So anyway, keep your list coming to me at TrekRanks so we can retweet them. But also, we want to hear from you, too. So please put together your own list of top 5 holodeck episodes. Give us a call. We'd love to hear directly from you. You can call us at the Tricorder Transmissions at 609-512-5527. That's 609-512-LLAP. So hopefully we'll hear from you so you can be featured on the next episode of TrekRanks. And on the next episode of TrekRanks, we have got an epic topic for you. It's one of these ones I've been anxious to get to for a while because she's one of my top 5 all-time characters on the TrekRanks character list, which you can find at TrekRanks.com. She's actually number 4 on my overall list of Star Trek characters, which tells you how great she is. So next week, we're breaking down our top 5 Kira Nerys episodes, and I cannot wait to do that. That episode will be part of our ongoing celebration this year of the 25th anniversary of Deep Space Nine. So Will and Marty, anything jumping out at you guys right away when you think of your top 5 Kira episodes? Will?
Absolutely. For me, it's Deep Space Nine's Progress. I think Progress is a highly emotional episode. I know a lot of Trek fans got to do it, but Ira Stephen Bear interviewed me for the What We Left Behind doc, and awesome. That's actually what we talked about when he interviewed me, because at the time it was right at the height of when Native Americans were being kicked out of their land for the oil pipeline up in the Dakotas, and all I could think about was Progress, and how deeply emotional that episode is for her.
First of all, fingers crossed that we hope you make the final cut of the Deep Space Nine documentary. I didn't know that. That's awesome. And that's a great episode. Great pick. Super.
I'm in the trailer, so I hope I made it.
Super early. Oh, that's right. You are. I did know that. I forgot about that. All right, Marty, how about you? Anything jumping out at you for a Kira episode?
Again, I don't know the name of it, but it's the episode. I think it's a Kira episode where they're in that alternate timeline with Terok Nor. They have to or it's a flashback episode. That's what it is.
Oh, in things. Oh, Necessary Evil.
Yes,
where Odo. Spoiler alert. Odo finds out that she actually murdered that guy, and he thought it was somebody else, and he's like, "Oh, you've been lying to me all these years." That's an amazing episode.
That's the one.
I might have to consider that one on my list. That's fantastic. All right, awesome stuff, guys. This episode is great. Huge thanks to our Reading Trek duo, Will Conlin and Marty Allee. 2 awesome guests. You guys crushed it tonight with these picks. Hope you had fun.
We did.
Oh, I had a great time. It was fantastic.
All right, any final Trek thoughts before we get out of here?
Well, I personally just want to say, and it's not just smoke. I love what you do here, Jim. I think this is really just a great podcast, and it's just so much fun. And I love how positive it is. There's no wrong answers. There's no bottom lists. It's just always top. So I just really commend what you've got here.
Appreciate that, Will. Marty, say something nice.
I can't get all tops, no bottoms out of my head.
That's the perfect way to end Pride Month. All right. That's our closeout here. All right. Thanks again, everyone, for engaging with us here on episode 32 of the TrekRanks podcast. As always, I want to close by saying I'm looking forward to standing with you again here in this place where I belong.
How do you propose to defeat Chaotica?
Well, he's been attacking the aliens with his death ray.
It's a shame we don't have one.
Hi there, thanks again for listening. If you're cruising the galaxy looking for even more Trek talk, why not visit our good friends Bill and Dan over at TrekGeeks.com? They've got a great podcast that covers a wide range of Star Trek topics, so you're sure to find something you'll love. And if you're in the mood for some awesome tunes, then you really need to head over to 5yearmission.net. The guys are writing a song for every episode of the original series, and each one is absolutely brilliant. So that's TrekGeeks.com and 5yearmission.net. Check them out today.
That ball is at least a half a meter out. How can you call it a strike? Reverse the call. Reverse the call.
That was low and outside.
The ball was clearly outside.
Oh, what the hell were you looking at? You can't tell me that ball was over the plate. What were you doing? Regenerating? Caught the outside corner.
Outside corner?
Right foot. That was a ball and you know it. We scored 2 men on. 2 men on. 2 men on.
Gentlemen, you are trying my patience.
What trying your patience? No, wait. You stole the run from us. You stole it just as if you reached up and tore it off the scoreboard. You stole it from us.
You're out of here!
What?
No player shall at any time make contact with the umpire in any manner. The prescribed penalty for the violation is immediate ejection from the game. Rule number 4.06, subsection A, paragraph 4. Look it up, but do it in the stands. You're gone!